Slipcover versus upholstery. Which one is better? The pros and cons. Which one is easier to do? That's what we're talking about today. Hi, Mimsy here. I teach budget-minded people how to beautify and improve their homes with home decor, sewing, and DIY. So today we're talking about slip-covered furniture versus upholstered furniture. And I'm going to talk about which one is better and the pros and cons. And those kind of are going to be in the same conversation because it's subjective. And really, the number one thing that determines which one is better depends upon what your needs are. As you probably already know, slipcovers have a more casual aesthetic, and upholstered furniture tends to be more of a formal aesthetic. As far as the way you want your furniture to look, you want to keep that in mind. So the other thing I'm going to do is not only are we going to have this conversation, but I'm going to show you around my house and show you some slip covered pieces and some upholstered pieces, and we'll talk about pros and cons on the actual piece. So depending upon what your needs are. So do you have a young family with young children and you want to be able to wash your slip covers or wash your furniture frequently? Well, then a slipcover might be the way to go. Are you looking at a piece of furniture that's going to be in a formal space that doesn't get a lot of use? Well, then upholstery might be the better option. Not going to get dirty, not used a whole lot. Then upholstery might be a better option for you. Or is it 100% about the way the piece of furniture looks? Do you want that piece to be a casual, lived-in, easygoing look to your room? Or do you want your room to have a real buttoned up, very tidy look to it? So then if that's the case, then upholstery might be the way to go. I have found that I really like the juxtaposition of some very formal elements in a room, like some really beautiful antiques and trim moldings and beautiful wood pieces juxtaposed with a soft and casual slipcover. Now, I'm not talking about a slipcover that's slouchy and loose fitting. I'm not talking about like a shabby chic style, but a nice tailored slipcover, but with some beautiful antiques, I think is a really beautiful juxtaposition. And I've just recently found out that I really love that. Or do you have a really great quality sofa that you've had and you might have paid a lot of money for it and it's just a little bit outdated in the fabric selection? Or is it getting a little bit worn out or even threadbare, but the sofa's really good quality and the style is great? Then a slipcover might be the answer in that situation. Do you have a sofa that was very expensive and you just want to protect it in order to ensure the longevity of that piece of furniture? Or do you have pets that you want to protect it from? Then a slipcover is the way to go. Do you want to just have options for being able to change out your furniture frequently or change out the look of your room with fabric, and you want to be able to do that seasonally? Then slipcover is a great idea. I know that when my mom used to do seasonal slipcovers, she had one that she would put on her sofa at Christmas time, and it was a deep forest green, and it had these like a tassel print, and it was red and yellow and blue tassel print. It sounds terrible, but it was a really beautiful fabric, and it just looked so holiday, and it looked great with the holiday decor, and she always put that on at Christmas time, and it was such a nice change because she always had a white sofa slipcover most of the year. So to see that change was really nice in her room. So that's something that you can, if you're somebody who likes to change things frequently and you just really like to change things frequently, then slipcovers are the way to go. Do you like the rounded furniture that I'm seeing a lot of these days with rounded backs and rounded arms that are frequently done in boucle fabric? If you have that style or you like that style, then slipcovers are definitely not the way to go. You can only upholster those pieces. A lot of craftsman style furniture, you can't really slipcover those because there's a lot of exposed show wood. So craftsman style furniture is definitely more suited to upholstery. So as far as which one is better, that explains it. It really depends upon what your needs are and how you want things to look. So that's completely subjective. So that also kind of covers the pros and cons of each. As far as upholstery goes, the pros would be that it looks very tailored, very formal, very neat and tidy. Really, if you have a very nicely upholstered piece, it's just artwork. It's beautiful to have a really beautiful finished upholstered piece. The pros for slipcovers is the washability, the fact that you can just slip your slipcover off, just pull it off of your sofa and throw it in the washing machine. It's like putting clean sheets on your bed. There's nothing better than a freshly washed slipcover, and I generally will wash mine before I have company, before the holidays and things like that. Affordability is a pro. The difference between price on a slipcover and upholstery. Slipcovers are generally cheaper than having a piece upholstered. If you're going to upholster a sofa compared to slip covering a sofa, I would say that upholstery is probably 40% more. As far as fabric goes, you can use similar fabrics for upholstery and for slip covering. Price range is about the same. For an upholstered piece, you can definitely use upholstery weight fabric, which would be the heaviest weight fabric you can buy. For slipcovers, you don't really want to use upholstery weight. You want to use a medium to heavy weight, but not upholstery weight for a slipcover. So that's another thing, is slipcover fabric you can get maybe slightly cheaper than upholstery fabric, and that of course is subjective. It completely depends upon what type of fabric you buy, as far as the expense of it. So let me get up and show you around a few of the pros and cons of slipcovers and upholstery. So let's see what we can see. So here in my living room, both of my sofas are slip covered. So as you can see, slipcovers are not always loose and slouchy and shabby chic style. You can do a very fitted custom slipcover, particularly when you have a sofa that's very square, like these two tuxedo sofas. And my sofas currently need to be washed pretty bad. I have a lot of slip-covered pieces in my house because that's my specialty, is slip covering. So I have a lot of slip covers. One thing about slip covers, they tend to shift around with use. So like these little ottomans, I use these all the time. I sit here and play Scrabble with my husband, and we sit on these a lot. And so with use, they shift around a little bit. I could probably put some Velcro around the bottom edges to hold them in place, but they do have to be straightened out once in a while. And that's one of the cons of slipcovers, is that you do have to sometimes retuck your things and straighten things out once in a while in order to make it look really nice and neat. And I just do that automatically when I'm getting ready to have company. I'll straighten up my slip covers, but for the most part they stay pretty well in place. I'll show you two places where they always get a little bit shifty on me. So this is the back of my sofa, and it's floating clearly in my room. This is one place where slip covers always shift. Every slip cover I've ever made or had, the back of the sofa shifts. So my seam is right here, and the seam really should be down like this, but this always shifts, and I think it's just from sitting on the sofa. This fabric gets pulled down and it shifts, and I always have to adjust this, and I adjust it probably adjust this once a week, and then it rides back down into the crevice. The other thing that shifts a lot is the arm seams. And now this one's pretty good right now, actually, but sometimes these arm seams get pulled in like this, because when you sit down on the sofa, the fabric gets pulled down into the crook of the arm, and so the seams get off a little bit. But this one has stayed pretty good. So that is one con with slip covers, is that they do shift around a little bit with use. So you do have to adjust them a bit once in a while. Okay, talking about some of the advantages of upholstery. These are my upholstered dining chairs, and although they're upholstered, I do want to make some slip covers for these because they are getting kind of dirty. The advantage of upholstery, particularly on chairs like this, is that they stay put. There's no shifting of the fabric, so they just always look neat and tidy, and the fabric is just in place. It's not going anywhere. It always is going to look like this. I'll never have to adjust these. Although, if I were to make a slip cover for these, I could make it in a way that this style stays put really well. And I do want to show you a picture of one of the juxtaposition I was talking about with I was in Italy this past month for a job, and I was staying at a villa in Italy, and it was spectacular with just beautiful, beautiful antiques. It was built in 1680, and the building is gorgeous. Everything is spectacular, and their dining room table had, I think, 22 chairs around it, and they were all slip covered, and it just totally confirmed to me my love for slip covers. And there was a time that slip covers kind of went out of style when the mid-century modern came in, you know, in the 2010s or 2000s, the aughts. Slip covers kind of went out during that time because mid-century modern really doesn't lend to slip covers. But they're back, and I'm so happy for that because I absolutely love them. And let me show you this picture of this villa that I was in. All right, so this is the villa that I stayed at in Tuscany. It's Villa Centenale, and it's right outside of Siena. It's absolutely spectacular. Anyway, this is the dining room in the villa. Let's see if I can make this focus. Yeah. So you see how beautiful this dining room is. Look at that ceiling. And then look at those slip-covered Parsons chairs with the cute little ruffled skirt. Absolutely so cute. I walked into the dining room, into the front door of the villa, and I was so thrilled to see these gorgeous slip covers, and so happy to say that they are in fact so back in style, and I'm so happy, totally here for it. So anyway, I'm sort of looking for some chairs. These that I have at my dining room are in fact this same style, but they don't have the legs, the nice legs. The legs under these are just ugly. Oh, here's another slip covered piece. This sofa is on my patio. This is also a slip cover. Well, there's the actual upholstered. Anyway, there's a couple other things. One of the reasons why I started slip covering is because it doesn't really take any tools, and so that would be one of the pros of slip covering as well, is that the only thing that you need to make a slip cover is your sewing machine, a pair of scissors, and a boatload of pins, and you can make a slip cover, and then of course your fabric. But with upholstery, one of the cons with upholstery is that you have to have some tools for upholstery. You've got to have a decent staple gun. A pneumatic staple gun with a compressor is ideal. You can do it with just an electric one, but it's more difficult. You have to have some tools and just some basic things like that. Although I did upholstery for a long time with just like things that I had, but you do need to have tack strip and closures like fly grip that closes up your upholstery projects, Dacron. And the thing about upholstery is that you have to do tear off first. So that's the other reason why I was drawn to slip covering. Not just because my mom was a professional slipcover maker, that had a lot to do with it, but because with a slipcover, all you do is you cut and pin it onto your piece of furniture and make the slipcover. You're just covering over what you already have. Where with upholstery, you have to tear off everything that's on your piece currently, and tear off takes a long time. So upholstery, not only does it take longer to do it, there are more techniques and methods that you need to know. So when you're thinking about DIYing and you're thinking about either doing a slipcover or upholstery, slipcovers require a lot of sewing. So if you are an experienced sewer, then you'll have no trouble making a slipcover. If you have no sewing experience, then maybe upholstery is the way to go. Upholstery can sometimes be completely no-sew if you don't have any cushions, because generally in upholstery the only thing that you're actually sewing are the cushions. So if you don't know how to sew, then maybe upholstery is the way to go. So it's totally subjective. It just depends upon what it is you're ready to tackle. If you're ready to cut and pin and then just sit at your sewing machine for a long time and sew through a slipcover, that's the way to go. If you don't like sewing, don't know how to sew, then maybe upholstery is the way to go. If you are somebody who is wanting to learn how to do upholstery, I have a video course, Upholstery Basics for Beginners. You can click on this video right here. It'll give you all the information on Upholstery Basics for Beginners.